Scott has been involved with companies in our ecosystem for his entire career.
In the 1980s, Scott was a junior partner at Ernst & Young when Ernst & Young really focused on the biotech industry and then really kind of helped familiarize or begin the industry sector focus in the accounting industry.
So, a lot of biotech accounting was invented in the Bay Area by EY. So I think a lot of the rules that we take for granted in the industry were experientially solved by EY looking at issues and then proposing reasonable solutions.
Scott, by being in the position he's been in with Ernst & Young, has been a key person in taking so many companies public. I believe over 40 companies. He's probably done over 100 financings.
Over the last 20 plus years, Scott's been instrumental in maintaining Ernst & Young's leadership in the accounting profession here in the Bay Area for life science companies and more broadly, certainly for EY. But clearly around the Bay Area, EY has been the leader in this space, and Scott is very much responsible for that.
He has been involved when they've gone public and when they've raised private capital as well. He's been involved as they live the life of a regulated company, and he's an important and trusted advisor to many companies in our ecosystem in that regard.
And Scott became one of the junior partners in that industry focus for Ernst & Young, and as a result got a wide breadth of experience with a number of companies, large and small, early stage and later stage.
And very quietly has done something that's fundamental to the ecosystem, which is get companies financed.
I was sold on the industry within the first 3 years out of Cal, and to see the passion they had for the science, for the technology, and the passion they had for improving the patient condition it was absolutely contagious.
And so Scott has worked on different aspects, whether it's a device company, a diagnostic company, a therapeutics company, across multiple different diseases, which means you need to be very knowledgeable about how the regulatory authorities are looking at the business. And they're different. They're different in terms of the division or the type. And so I think, again, that breadth of experience that Scott has under his belt as a person, and then his ability to reach into other organizations and connect people.
He has such a tremendous reach and experience in seeing all the various different deals and everything that have been done across the organization. And he's like a walking encyclopedia, so to speak, when it comes to that. And he really knows who to go to and who to put you in touch with.
I remember one of those calls where it was, well, we've raised a lot of money now we need a CFO for this. Who should that be? And when you have 20 people on a call, you're just not going to get consensus until a name like Scott came up.
It's experience. It's experience combined with the right kind of personality, combined with the can-do attitude, combined with the ability to roll up his sleeves and work through all the issues of a big auditing firm and translate that into an entrepreneurial way for those of us who run 20 people, 30 people, 50 people companies. That's what he does so well, and that's why he's so successful.
You don't feel more comfortable about your financial operations and your plans than after you've had Scott Morrison tell you things are good.
Most recently, Scott and I have worked together on Corvus Pharmaceuticals, an oncology company. The perspective was if we got Scott Morrison to be on the board and to serve as chair of the audit committee, we were getting a first-rate person who could help us deal with any of the problems that would come up. I recall the excitement at when we got Scott to agree to join the board, and we had a very successful IPO, and the company is making nice progress, and Scott continues to bring to bear his broad perspective, not just, again, the accounting perspective, but his broad business expertise.
He's one of the lowest ego, at the same time important people that I know in my profession.
He wasn't just there as the Ernst & Young accountant working with all of our companies. Scott actually cared about the community. He cared about the people and the ecosystem, and you saw him involved with everything. If there was something important for people in the community, Scott was there.
He's a good friend and has been an industry leader, and all you have to do is look at who thinks the same thing about him to know that that's true.
People really do learn from each other, and Scott has been such a great conduit for that.
You know, many people that Scott met early in his career who were in, pretty insignificant positions have gone on to leadership positions in organizations. And, Scott's been a mentor through that whole process.
To make a small contribution, what I view, to their business and the success of their business is what keeps me going. And their passion is contagious. They're fun. They're swinging for the fences. They really believe in what they do. They really believe that the products that they are developing will change the world. I found that the longer I stayed in the industry, the more I learned and the more I could contribute.
It is personal to Scott, the industry that he works in and that he serves. And I use the word serves because that's how Scott thinks about things. How do I serve in the industry?
Scott epitomizes that passion and that commitment, and he does so in a way that makes people want to work with him and they like him. And if anybody deserves a leadership award, it's Scott.
He just embodies what this industry is all about as an individual. I mean, he really brings it to the table every time he shows up.
There are few people in this world, I think, that I could describe as being more important and more impactful at really growing this industry into what it is today than Scott Morrison.
It's wonderful that Scott's getting the Life Science Leadership Award today. It's richly deserved, and he's just the perfect person to get it.